My name is Mark McGrath, and I've been on the Cape 25 years with my wife Patti. And today we have our whole family here. So we have, I don't know if they're all here, but we have 3 kids, 2 spouses, and 7 grandkids. There are 15 of us here visiting on the Cape. And the kids are getting big, so they don't fit in the house anymore. So we rented a 41-foot trailer that we had backed into the driveway, and the kids love it, don't they?
Yes.
But we've been, let me see. I am going to be switching between sitting down and walking around. Okay, I think we're all set. First of all, let's talk about where we live. We live on Cape Cod. And part of this talk, the theme of it is, this is going to be a celebration of Cape Cod. And there was a survey done a while ago that found that Cape Cod people are the happiest in the country, in 2nd place. Now, does anybody here winter in Naples? And Naples, you are in #1 place. No wonder you're smiling. She's in the #1 place in the country in winter and #2 place in the summer. So you have it all. So that's a great place we live. We've been walking, we moved here 25 years ago, and we've been walking on the Cape ever since. And this is kind of almost an age test, a chronological sequence. When we first moved here, we did long and adventurous walks, then scenic and local walks. Then, gee, now that we're walking here, let's find out about the history of where we're walking, and also the artists that had Cape Cod in their blood. And more recently, let's appreciate Cape Cod's unique diversity that makes it such a great place to live. And now use your mind for more walking and enjoyment. So we'll be discussing those. So we'll start off with this is the first one. Okay. My wife and I, 10 years ago now, Patti had her hip replaced. And when I took her to the doctor, took her to physical exercise, I went out and walked. And then the next time I took her, I walked a different beach. And by the time she finished physical therapy, I had walked all the beaches down on the south coast of Dennis. And I said, this is great. I think I can walk around the perimeter of Cape Cod. And I did it for a little while. Then it got kind of tedious, boring, I was all by myself. And one time Patti said, can I join you? And so she did. So the 2 of us together walked the perimeter of Cape Cod. And it wasn't just walking the perimeter. When we came to a river, we swam across it. So it took us 150 days, which was about a year of hiking, and 360 miles.
Wow.
And did we face challenges? Yes. Well, we're fortunate around here. We have nice sandy beaches, but when you get down around Falmouth, those are what some of the beaches look like. So they were a bit of a challenge. Swimming the rivers, Patti's a strong swimmer. In the winter times, that picture was taken in Eastham, climbing over the winter ice. Here's one, a challenge, private property. We saw hundreds of those on the beach. And we had a routine where I'd be down near the water and Patti might be walking up near the high end of the beach. And I'd see a sign up there and I'd yell up to Patti, hey Patti, what does that sign say? And Patti would answer, welcome. Welcome. And so every time we saw a sign, we just totally ignore it and keep walking. And we really didn't have any issues on the whole walk. There it is, another one. How about our age? We're in our 70s. Was our age a challenge? It turned out to be an advantage. Because if we had done it in our 40s, we would have probably said, Patty, let's do it. If we walk 18 miles a day, we can finish this in 21 days. Let's do it. But no, we said, it's not a competition. Just let's take our time. We never want to get tired. Let's go slow and enjoy the sights. And in particular, let's plan our walk so we can go to a nice restaurant afterwards. Oh, here's another place. This is down in Woods Hole. And we were walking around this peninsula. And this peninsula had, it was designed by a Frank Lloyd disciple, architect disciple. And it looks like an airplane. So it's been forever called the Airplane House. And these were all walks that we were walking on. And it looks like we were almost walking in his backyard there. But he's raised up about 12 feet. We're down at sea level. We can't see him walking. We can't see him, and he can't see us walking. But Patty gets kind of bored sometimes. Distracted. And we were halfway around, and climbing over those rocks was a pain. And Patty saw a stairway and said, I'm going up the stairs to see what's up there. Patty, you take it over from me.
And what I did, and this happened a number of times, I get really tired with the, no hip and the rocks, and so I go up, and I always figured if I saw somebody having the white hair, I would just say, I'm rehabbing from hip surgery, I'm not here to steal your belongings. And sure enough, I'm 10 feet into the walk, and this woman came up, and I said that to her, and she said, oh, I'm just a caretaker. You want to see the house? Here. So I waited for Mark, and we went into the house with the caretaker. She was wonderful. And she showed us all around, and then she said, you want to come upstairs and see the bedrooms? And I'm thinking, what is this? Went upstairs, we saw the bed, and it was very nice. And then she said, do you want to stay overnight? I said, no. And they were very nice. We met her husband, and they were very nice people. I think they were lonely. They were lonely for contact, so that's that story.
There's a woman.
See? Yeah.
There's the one wing. That is the sunset dining room. On the other side, they have a sunrise dining room. And there's my GPS of the tour. So things like that make it fun. Now, I won't get into a lot of the detail on this, but for me, my favorite part of the whole walk was the Atlantic cliffs from Provincetown down to Wellfleet and so on. So let's look at some of those pictures.
Memory, all I have is memory. All I have is memory.
I do not know how to entertain one, I do not know how to take long walks from Thoreau. Okay, that's just a snippet of some of them. It wasn't just a walk. Being out there alone, we were alone 95% of the time. The history, the disagreements told. And near the end, we said, gee, we want to finish this, but we just don't want this experience to end. And it did come to an end at some time, obviously. Okay, there's another adventure that a couple of years after that I had. Did you ever sit at Chatham Bars Inn or drive up the coast and look at that barrier island out there and just wonder what that's like? Well, I said, gee, I wonder if I can walk out there. So we, if you look at it, that's 2.7 miles from Orleans, and this is the Narrows, Sipson Island. And if you walk around like that, you can actually walk across Pleasant Bay. And what made it look attractive was if you look at that same area on Google Earth, you see quite a few sandbars. And only a couple of places where you might have to swim. Like you'd have to swim here, walk around the island, walk up here, over here and over the back channel up there. So let's try it. So what I did was take the kayak out and took soundings. Like at this place, it's 1.5 feet deep at Aunt Lydia's low tide plus 2.5 hours. And you take a whole bunch of those, and then you walk out of the way, and you get convinced you can do it. But one time I was out, all you have is your GPS, there's no signposts or streets you can go by. You just kayak a half mile out, throw an anchor over, get out, and walk another half mile. Just following this, hoping you're doing okay. And I remember getting out a half mile and just turning around, my kayak is gone. I said, you know, talk about fear just coursing through you. And then I freaked out, and you looked, well, it's a half mile away. It's about this big on the sunset. And just squinting a little bit, I could detect a little bit of orange and say, I'm all set. So you turn around. So you do that enough. Then it comes time to be the big day. You recruit a friend, and you start in Orleans, and that's our destination over there. And that's the final walk, with only 2 swims, as I mentioned. Yep. Oh, and we did. We wound up on Nauset Beach, and then it's just a 3-mile walk to our cars back at the parking lot of Nauset Beach. But one time I was on one of these practice runs. I was going by a sign in my kayak, and I said, a sign out here? And all I could see was no, no, and I said, they don't need signs like that, and I wanted to go tear it down. But the sign said, no camping without permission, and it gave a phone number. And I said, wow, so as soon as I get home, I called it up, and I said, can I stay on Hog Island for a night? Sure, when do you want to go? And it was just delightful. So, of course, we had to walk out to Hog Island. Somewhat like the same track. And I was worried about how do you take all your camping gear out to the island. Well, you put them in dry bags, and the dry bags are so full of air they float. So you don't even have to have them on your back. And here's a picture of my partner towing the tents. And there were only a few places you had to swim. And then picture tent, you go out at low tide, and in August that happens at, I don't know, 7 o'clock, but the low tide in the morning is 6, so you have to come there late and get up early. But we had a chance to walk around, it's just a delightful place out there. Okay, that's the second adventure. Now how about my 10 favorite hikes? None more than 5 miles. Okay. Oh, John Muir, of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are on dirt. I like that. Okay. Number 10, Great Hollow Road in Truro. This is the best view for the least effort. Have any of you been out there? You had nods. It's really great. I have a video of the entire hike. I put it in double time so you can see it. You park the car, you get out. He's walking double speed. He's walking, he's getting near the end of the hike. He has it. That's the hike. And that's the shortest hike, and it's a great view, great place to watch the sunset. And if you want, you can descend the stairs. It's just a great beach to walk on. Number 9, walk beneath the Atlantic cliffs. You saw that in my previous video with the Van Morrison song. That's out in Truro, mostly Truro, starting maybe Foreign Town into Wellfleet. Just fantastic. Number 8, sunrise at Lighthouse Beach in Chatham. And this is an annual event for us. We meet at the lighthouse, gather, and there's 20 to 30 of us before sunrise. We all walk out and walk back, and as we're walking back, we say, this was great. We have to do this next week. and the next year we'd say the exact same thing. But it is a great experience. Number 7, Fort Hill, right here in Eastham, with extra credit walk to the visitor center. And that is just an outstanding beach, an outstanding walk. And that's one of the scenes you get from the walk to the visitor center. Number 6, Paws Hill in Truro. It's since been closed. A gentleman, Mr. Porter, donated the land, and people just started going up and creating all kinds of paths on the loose rocks. So they've closed that down, but there are still a number of other sites, including Edward Hopper's house. So you can walk from the beach, down the beach, and see Edward Hopper's house. Number 5, Town Conservation Trust Trails. During COVID, Patti and I made it a point to get out and walk every trail, every conservation area in Howard, Chatham, Orleans, Brewster. And there's just some great ones. Number 4, Griffin Island in Wellfleet on the bay. And this is one of our favorites. A couple of times a year, usually in the fall, you just walk to the top of that island, bring your lunch or your dinner, sit down and watch the sunrise. It's just a fantastic place. And you can walk to that from the parking lot at, what's the parking lot? Duck Island. So you can go from Duck Island, a half-mile walk along this top cliff, sit down and have your dinner. Number 3, Boston Beach. We'll see more on that later. That's Boston Beaches. That's historic. That's the picture of Boston Beach around 1910. They had a bowling alley. They had dining halls. And these little houses people used to rent from Aussie Ball. And the story goes that they used to leak. Flies would come in. People would complain. And Aussie would say, well, what do you want to do? Well, if you got the same week next week, yeah. It was just, it's happening from people from the city who just want to come here despite all of the troubles. Number 2, the flats end, mostly in Eastham. Rock Harbor, get out on the flats at low tide and walk to Town Beach. That's just a great walk. And who's that? That's my grandson. There was one thing about this walk. Every time you take him, you say that walk there on the map is about less than 2 miles. We'll do that in a half an hour. But when you have 4 grandkids with you, it takes 2 hours to walk. So the things they discover and the places they go are just outstanding. Number 1, the Dunes in Provincetown. And these are just some of the, these are the hikes that I've done in Provincetown in the dunes. Questions on any of these? Yeah.
You said Rock Harbor to what? The one before the dunes in P-Town? What did you go to from Rock Harbor?
First Encounter Beach.
First Encounter, thank you.
And you have to do it at low tide because if you leave Rock Harbor, you have all of those trees planted. And at low tide, it's no more than knee high. So it's an easy walk. If you send me a note, I'll send you the list of 10. Okay, so we've done the hard walks. Let's, okay, those we've done. The diversity of Cape Cod, this is what I talked about before, about this makes Cape Cod special in every aspect. Sometimes it's the best in not only the country, but maybe the world. Maybe a little exaggeration. But let's look at our oceans and ponds. The Atlantic Ocean, unmatched diversity in the country. We have the Sound with its nice, calm, warm waters, great for little kids. We have Cape Cod Bay with untold walks out to a mile and a quarter, dunes up in Truro, oysters, ice if you want it, sometime of the year, ice again. So that flats area is kind of unique. I don't know of any other place that is quite like we have. And now just the Atlantic. As Henry David Thoreau called it, the beach from, well, Wellfleet up to Provincetown is 25 miles of just unbroken beach. And he called it Cape Cod Beach. And I wonder why that name never stuck, because that would be kind of a nice name, 25-mile long Cape Cod Beach. We have storms, and of course sharks. So does any place in the United States have such diversity of oceans to visit? No. Maybe. Now how about our ponds? How many ponds do we have in Cape Cod? One answer from somebody.
146,
100
46 kettle ponds.
ooh, that is great ponds we do. But the answer to that is 1,000.
145.
We have 1,000. 145 great ponds, so you get full credit for that answer. Now, I did some calculations. Minnesota is the state of 10,000 lakes. They're noted for that. But if you look at great ponds, per area, Cape Cod has twice as many great ponds as Minnesota. So Cape Cod can be called, Cape Cod is the land of twice as many ponds as Minnesota. Now that's just spectacular. I don't know how many people, did anybody know that before? No. Cape Cod, that last slide showed that Cape Cod has 145 great ponds, and that definition is, it has to be more than 10 acres. So we have 145 ponds greater than 10 acres. Falmouth has 27, Brewster 22, Howard's 21. Plymouth has a lot, but that's bigger, but we have 5 of the top 8 great ponds. I've lived in Howard for 25 years, and I can name about 6 great ponds. You know, Long Pond's the biggest, and I don't know where the other ones are. Now the ponds are quite famous. Mary Oliver walked Black Pond for 20 years, almost every day, and that's a nice walk. Gull Pond, the largest, and Henry David Thoreau called Gull Pond the largest and most handsome pond on the Cape. You can take a 6-mile walk, 6.5-mile walk, and cover all 20 kettle ponds in the National Seashore, which I think might be the only kettle ponds on the Cape. There's one space right here where you have to, we give out trash bags to get through. So we come with a bag full of trash bags and to walk everybody. I don't know if that woman on the right is going to be high enough. And Cliff Pond in Brewster is just outstanding. Okay, we've done ocean. How about from swamps to forests? We have a swamp, Atlantic White Cedar Swamp. Now, it might not be as big as the Okefenokee Swamp in Florida. You know, I don't know, this is 10, 15, 20 acres and 50 square miles or something. But let's look at the area from swamps to forest. Favorite hikes, Beach Forest in Provincetown and Kent's Point in Orleans. Nice places. A nice marsh walk is over on Blackfish Creek. You just drive to the end of Old Wharf Road and you can do a nice less than 2 mile circuit there. Okay, swamps. How about deserts? The deserts and the dunes. Provincetown. Have any of you been walked up Snail Road? Oh, good. A lot of head nods there. If you walk 10 minutes from your car on Snail Road, you'll just be in a different world. And here are some snapshots taken of. That's a parabolic dune, and the wind digs that out. And the dune had the parabolic, oh, that's a remnant. That used to be the old forest floor before all the trees were cut down. You can hike with a group or alone. There are some peaks there that rise up to well over 110 feet. Patti McGrath, I think those are horseshoe tracks. You can ski there in the wintertime, or stay in a dune shack to get the best views. Goodbye from the dunes. Okay, how about cliffs? The highest Atlantic beach cliffs is out there in Truro. You can't watch the sunrise from any higher point in the country over the Atlantic than that cliff. Looking south from that, looking north, and it's just south of Boston Beach, about a mile and a quarter. Or you can get to it from Collins Road. Griffin Island, that's a cliff. Highest public access location where you can watch the sunset over the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, another first for Cape Cod. Up at the top there you can see Plymouth and Saginaw Power Station, etc. Quite a view from up there. Now, what geological feature don't we have on Cape Cod? Waterfalls. That might be the biggest waterfall in Cape Cod. So we don't do great on waterfalls. Okay, so we've covered those. Also, what's the greatest place for sunrise and sunsets in the country? There's a sunrise. Of course, it's Cape Cod. Now, why do we have the best? Well, if you look at a map and you want to see a sunrise 365 days a year, go to Nauset Beach. If you want to see a sunset 365 days a year, just go over to Skagit Beach or any of the beaches along there. Now, that has almost everything. So 365 days we see both. Now, what if you want to plant your beach chair and you want to see a sunrise and a sunset in a day without leaving your beach chair? You can do that on Bank Street Beach in Howard. Plunk your chair down, sunrise is up noontime, sunset. Unfortunately, you have to do that between October and February when the sun is in the southern sky. But we can do it. So is there any doubt that the best sunsets in the country are in the Cape Cod? Okay, let's look at that. Sunrise music.
Good morning, I hope you're feeling fine. Good morning to all the girls, hello. Good morning, I hope you're feeling fine. Good morning to all the boys, hello.
That music was brought to you by the Wiggle Worms. Remember from your childhood days, or your kids' childhood days? The dog walk is there. I've been up a number of times to go to the bank at the beach in Howard to take pictures, and you can never beat the dog walkers. Oh, okay. This is sunsets. These were taken over in Brewster. Breakwater Beach and Brewster gets some nice clouds to watch the sunset. There is one more thing. How about Cape Cod weather? Now this isn't a definitive study. It compares the weather over since July 1st up to 2 days ago and compares it with Boston and Chicago. And look at this, Howard had 82, 81, 81, Chicago had 95, 88, 87, Boston the same. Again, great weather. Okay, so we've done Cape Cod Diversity. Let's do more on walking. There we go. Come on, come on. Now I want this one. Okay. Have to go back to the manual here. Or mindfulness and a little bit of poetry. I read an article in the New York Times within the last month, and all walk might do wonders for your well-being. Older men and women who took a fresh look at the objects and vistas around them felt more upbeat. And they did a study of people just go out and blindly run 5 miles, and people who take their time and look. And I like that. So, an all walk, conspicuously watching for small wonders. Folks who took a fresh look were more upbeat. Do something different. But some of the things they mentioned as awesome, I don't know if I would have classified those as awe-inspiring. So I came up with 3 categories. There's awe, that's okay, and then, So some of the things that I think are awe-inspiring, you can classify in the category. Now, so I tried to come up with awe items, and there were just hundreds of them if you think back of, I'll go through your pictures. One is awe just in the garden outside our house. A while ago I said, gee, I'm retired, everybody learns gardening. And I said, but digging and hoeing and weeding and planting and all that didn't turn me on. And I said, Patti, how about that garden you have? And she said, that's my garden, you can't touch it. You can't dig in it, you can't weed it.
I didn't say.
I said, wait a minute, that's not bad. I said, so we'll even call it the Let It Be Garden. And so sometimes in photography, oh, these are my gardening tools. A chair, a cup of coffee, and a camera. And sometimes with photography, what you want to do is just go someplace and sit for 15 minutes and don't move. And when you sit down at what's ugly, stay there anyway, you'll uncover things. And these are just some of the things I uncovered. Anybody ever seen a bug like that? Do you know the name? You have.
Cicada.
What?
Cicada.
Cicada? Wow. I thought it was unique. I thought that was a 1 in a million and nobody else knew anything about it. And I can say I saw the only one that ever existed. But I guess I didn't. But anyway, just looking at that, and I was just hit with this, all of a sudden, this excitement. How can I take a picture of that? Can I get up close or will it fly away? Can I focus the camera? So I took one picture from kind of far away, tried to get close, and I couldn't get any closer than that. But that was, I put that in awe. Then the vine. Is that a deathly chokehold or a brotherly embrace on that flower? I don't know, you can wonder about these things. Ants. I picked up a leaf and this guy had no ants, and I saw the ants, and I said, wow. So you do some research and you find out the ants send out single scouts, they find some nectar, they roll themselves in the nectar, go back to the ant home, recruit some people to come up, eat the nectar, and they're done. It's fascinating. Oh, a pollen pocket. Is that what you call them? Yeah, pollen pocket. The bees come and land on the flowers and pull pollen off the fly, put it in their pocket, and bring it back to their nest. So away from the garden. How about foxes? Seeing those live is always a thrill. Seeing whales. Seeing whales from the beach is just awesome. Seeing seals on a cross-country ski trip. Have you ever seen a seal in Vermont or in Colorado cross-country skiing? No. The next topic was mindfulness. On Ranger Nick Carradine out of Provincetown is just the best ranger I've ever followed. And he used to have hikes. And maybe every other hike he'd say, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to go single file, one person at a time. Don't leave until you're 15 seconds behind the person in back of you. Walk and find something in the street. And he suggests maybe you'll hear some birds. And I hadn't heard a bird all day. And all of a sudden you walk and you listen and you hear birds. So you see something about a tree. And so that was fun. He had mindfulness walks. Some people call them mindless walks. Howard's Conservation Trust has, 1 or 2 mindful nature walks a month. Mary Oliver is the ultimate in mindfulness. She writes paragraphs and books on the flight of a bumblebee or something. I just read a chapter in her book on turtles. And she is very mindful about turtles. She goes out and she watches them, and she knows where they live. And she said, that turtle's going to make a nest pretty soon, and the turtle comes up and makes the nest. And then that turtle just laid some eggs. And then after the turtle laid some eggs, the mother turtle left. And Mary had to investigate the eggs. And there were 27 turtle eggs in the little nest. And she put 14 of them back, took 13 of them home, and scrambled them. and she wrote about that. But then she gives a little piece on why. And she said, well, lions eat hyenas, coyotes eat cats, eagles eat fish, big fish eat little fish. That is nature. And she just wanted to participate in that natural evolution so that she could partake in another animal's or something's. So it made some sense. And then there's an adventurer I follow called Alistair Humphreys, who rode his bike around the world, rode a boat across the Atlantic Ocean, ran this marathon disables in the heat of summer in Africa. You run a marathon every day for 6 days. So he had quite a bit of stuff behind him. But his most recent book was micro adventures. He spent a year not going any farther than a mile away from his home. And he said the things he uncovered was fantastic. So just the idea of micro-adventures he was trying to promote as something everybody should do. Okay. Oh, here's something. Here's another aspect I've just been thinking about. Edward Hopper said, if I could say it in words, I wouldn't have to paint. And I had a thought, well, gee, I have pictures that I think need words. But I have trouble writing things like that. So I happened upon haiku poetry, and this was made for me. It's a Japanese form of poetry. You have to tell an entire story in 17 syllables, in 3 lines of 575 syllables. I said, that's great. I get stumped on a postcard after having a great time, wish you were here. So this is just ideal for me. Now, can I take any of those photographs I've had and match them up with a story? I took this picture. It's a picture of nothing. It was down there at the night. But I said, gee, I've seen abstract paintings in museums that are like that. The only thing I'm missing is a name. Sky, Sea, and Sand is the name. Now can I match it with a haiku poem? And it's describing a haiku poem. Picture of nothing, write 17 syllables. I'm an artist and a poet. Kids, remember that from my obituary. Artist and a poet, okay. Sunrise. The whole day ahead, work, wait a minute. The whole day ahead, work, projects, and things to do. Done that, I'm retired. And one of the things they say about haiku, if you can put a little twist in that third line, that makes it better. Then I did one for sunset. A time to reflect. Did much, just can't remember. Bedtime 8 o'clock. Now that just came, those words just came spilling out of the computer. That's not autobiographical at all. It must have, the computer must have been thinking of somebody else when they spilled out and wrote that. But that's a haiku about sunset. And here's one, I really like this picture. They were down in Howard Street. Sunset. It was 30 degrees out. And these parents had this 1-year-old out on the beach. And I said, boy, that was just so nice. Congratulations to the parents for taking a 1-year-old out on the beach at night at sunset. And congratulations to the kid. But I have the first line of the sunset of the haiku. It's unfinished. Can you imagine an unfinished work that should only be 17 syllables? If any of you come up with that, let me know. Okay, another awe moment. Kayak to Little Sipson. There it is, it's a little over an acre. You can stay there overnight. And this time I didn't want a tent. I just wanted to experience the sky and the night, and I didn't want any tent over me. So I got a bivy bag that you put a sleeping bag in that keeps you nice and dry and so forth. And my partner took that picture in the morning. But I remember going to sleep at night, and you're lying there just looking up at the moon, and it was fantastic. And then you doze off, and gee, I think I've been asleep a long time, and the moon has only moved 2 inches. And then it moves another 2 inches, and you say, I'm never going to get to sleep. But then, the next time I opened my eyes, I just had a vision of the night stars that was just outstanding. You know, you felt so infinitesimal, and here the universe is so big, but somehow you were part of that. And that was just lovely moments that I would call awe that I thought was just great. There's one more of those. One year we had a full moon beach party in February. Now, that's not the typical month for a beach party. We rounded up a bunch of people and said, let's go out next Sunday or whatever it was and have a beach party. 60 people showed up. We had good food, nice bonfire, full moon, somebody had brought a service-related flag, and we got all 60 people together. Belting out a song, all 60 of us together. That was just another one of those moments that hit you. And I look forward to be able to do that sometime again in the future. Okay. We have two more. When you're on an adventure, let's have an adventure after your adventure. And so the best place to do that is the outdoor shower. You need to take a shower, you might as well take it outside in nature. And maybe you're thirsty during a shower. So why not have a beer? You know, having a beer in your bathroom shower, that's gross. I never want to do that. But here you're on a picnic, you're in nature. So the beer is just fine. But what if you get hungry? So you might as well make a meal and take that to the outdoor shower. What if it snows? You can disconnect the pipes, shovel it out, get it going, and have a nice meal. This one shows the outdoor meal. And that's great. And the nice thing about the shower has about 2 inches of way that the wind can get in, but the snow blocks that off, so you don't get any wind coming in and blowing up on you. It's a nice relaxing time. And this is the ultimate meal. We bring a big beer, you have oysters, you have lettuce, you have salads. Salads become finger food in the shower. Thank God, clean up is easy. Oh, there are some tips. And the thing, you know how cookbooks, there are thousands of them on the market? This is going to be my book. Recipes for the outdoor shower. I have the cover done, it's just the inside that needs to look done. Okay. One more. Boston Beach in COVID time. This is during COVID, I don't know, 2 winters ago. I spent a lot of time on Boston Beach. And this is the result of a number of trips down there. Nature has created a museum for us to explore. I walked in there and there are so many different galleries on this museum that's just outstanding. There's a sculpture, and that just came tumbling down from the top. And that's a mother and father and child on the way from the plains up top to life in the ocean. But I thought that's nice. They both, nice family picture. Also, when spring was coming, there was a hard crust on the cliff, and that was starting to break away. And it exposed some ancient cities that we know. And there's some more ancient cities. And some more ancient cities. It looks even like a temple. And I thought that was pretty fantastic for a museum to have ancient cities there. And at times, this was a windy day, I remember, and I could sit down, and I always had Thoreau with me, and I'm not going to read chapters, but maybe I can pick up some of my underlines that will give meaning to me. And so at this particular time, I heard a voice over my head. And it was Henry.
The shore will never be more attractive than it is now.
Henry David Thoreau said that 175 years ago, and here he was in the cliffs saying that again. That was just outstanding. Thanks, Henry. So I said, Henry, that's great, I love that. Let's go for a walk. So Henry's diminished a little bit since 170 years, but he still had a good mind and spoke up well, and so we went for a walk. We came across nature's etchings in the sand, and at this particular time, all the storms had washed all of the loose sand off the beach, and there was nothing but this firm sand, and the little rivulets and water coming out of the sand made these etchings. Look at that. We looked at that and said, how could nature create that? And it's almost like nature's a giant etch-a-sketch. They create these, they create hundreds of them, and then in 6 hours they wash them away, and they come up with a whole new set. So it's just great to see some of these. In this etching, Mother Nature looks a little perturbed. Definitely she doesn't like the way she's being treated. Okay, so that's the etchings gallery. Then we have the rock gallery. And for you folks who know Walston Beach, you can go up there. There's no rocks on Walston Beach today. It's just a beach like any other beach, just plain beach. Well, Henry, what do you think of the waves and surf?
The breakers are like 1,000 wild horses of Neptune rushing to the shore with their white manes streaming far behind.
You know, Henry has a way with words. I never would have thought of those words to describe that. But I told Henry I did have a picture of that. There were the white manes, the horses with the white manes streaming towards the shore. So Henry was pretty observant to come up with that and write that in his book.
The sea nibbling voraciously at the continent.
The sea nibbling voraciously at the continent. Another good way to describe that. Okay, this big rock. That had tumbled down from a cliff and was there, and it's pretty big, out the top there. And more sculptures in the sand on the beach. And this one's in it. This is a whole geology experiment. In my layman's terms, Cape Cod was formed 20,000 years ago when the big glacier was melting. Now the glacier was 3 miles thick of ice. So when that was melting, great rushes of water were coming to the ocean. And it was at different times the glacier in Chicago might have been melting before the glacier up in the Yaddo. But it looks like this gray stuff was a glacier, maybe one of the early melts, maybe from out around Syracuse or something. And then that got stopped. And then the glacier flow from Newfoundland brought a reddish clay. And then that stopped. And then the wind and the storms put a whole layer of sand that trees could grow. So that's kind of the geology part of the museum that I found fascinating. And there's a rock shelf. You could just walk on that for a mile. And here are just some photos that I think are pretty nice and shows that difference. think that's rock, but here I picked up a piece of rock, you squeeze it, and it turns to a fine dust. So it's not solid rock like you might think. And then when the wind comes up, it just blows away. All of that rock just disintegrates, and you can see a little mound that's creating there. Well, that mound grows to 30 feet by the time the wind stops blowing. That's another aspect of the museum. Oh, and then we found seal. Here's a seal that had a home in this rock here. Loved to get his face splashed with water. And he was kind of a sentinel for the beach. He was watching over the beach. You know, but then spring came and summer came. The tides are down, the storm is down. Big rock, in 2 months had disappeared. There were no more big rock. All of the things we liked about the museum the previous winter, the etchings, the ancient cities, the geology, and the rocks in the rock garden, all disappeared within 2 months. And seal was almost getting covered over with the new sand coming up from chatting, filling up the beach. And he left. He went back to his friends in the ocean. And Henry, there was no more work for Henry. So Henry moved on. But before he did, he left me a couple of sayings.
In wilderness is the preservation of the world.
In wilderness is the preservation of the world. I think that's the motto of the Sierra Club. And just one last one from Henry.
A man may stand there and put all America behind him.
There's the beach now. So thanks to Mother Nature and Henry David Thoreau. Thank you.